This episode of Discuss Metal was recorded live on February 4th, 2022, discussing the metal of doom. This is the Discuss Metal Podcast with Matt Naas of Roach Koach and Rance Denton of FPS. Hosted by Dan Terry and Joseph Wren. Presented by discussmetal.com.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Discuss Metal Live.
It's finally time.
It is finally time. We've hyped it for months, or we haven't. I don't know if we have hyped it for months. I don't know. I just got back from vacation. I'm happy to be here with some of my favorite friends. Not my non-favorite friends. I didn't invite them.
Thank God.
Who you are. You know who you are. You're everybody that's not here. Looking at you, Jeff. Yeah. So tonight I just dropped an This is live. We're not used to doing the live thing. I know you guys have seen me live stream video games and stuff online before, but that's more of like me just sitting there being like, I'm depressed. How about you guys? Let's play this game. But for the very first episode, we have decided that we wanted to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is the Doom series of video games.
Much like actual Doom players who are trying to play Doom on everything that comes out with a CPU and a battery, not even necessarily a screen, Dan will always find ways to talk about Doom-related materials. And who else are you going to have on that show but Rance from Discuss Metal? What's up, man?
What's going on, you guys? Me from Discuss Metal?
Absolutely.
Rance does co-host. In case you guys didn't know, if you head over to our other YouTube channel, Discuss Metal Gaming, Rance and I do a web show called FPS, where we discuss old school first-person shooters. So far on the show, we've talked about Doom, obviously.
Quake.
We talked about Doom, Quake, Blood.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And then there was a point where I think Christmas or like holidays got to us, and we were just texting each other and going like, should we just do this next month or the week after or the month after?
Yep.
We'll return.
Let's just push it off. We were actually going to do it tonight. And then I was all like, let's upgrade to Discuss Metal Live. That's okay. We're still going to talk about Doom.
I get to hang out with Dan again. That's cool. I'm fine with that.
And Dan, we have the Roach Rider, Mr. Matt Naas, from All Things Gabber Media.
Keep it rolling, baby. I'm so happy to have Matt Naas here, as I usually am. Actually, it's funny. After we posted what was the last really hard episode I did?
Velvet Acid Christ.
Everybody was all, you guys need to get Matt Naas on the show, the entire time. I'm like, send me a truck full of money, and then I'll send it to him to do that. Because the thing is that, we all only have so much time in a day. Oh, my God.
Yeah, no doubt. But thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Love Doom. Can't wait to talk about the music of Doom and just talk about Mick Gordon for about 2 hours. Can we just talk about
Can we?
I want to write him a Valentine's, close to Valentine's Day. Also,
everything I love about the original soundtrack is like your favorite MIDI, everything from the 90s. Then Mick Gordon shows up. That fits. That works.
I can't wait because I'm like what Bobby Prince did into what, I know Chris Brenna was involved with 3. And then when we get to Mick Gordon, it's just like, too much to talk about. So excited about it.
Really is. Like, I know for a fact all of us are going to get to a point where like, fuck, there's something I forgot to mention.
Oh, when you mentioned this, I went down that deep YouTube Doom music hole. That's like songs that were ripped off blatantly into.
This song is clearly Domination by Pantera. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Oh,
what was the Megadeth song? We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember it. I probably should have looked that up before we went live, but we're live. That's how this works now. You're gonna get the facts as straight off the top of my head as you can.
Well, right before we started, I was like, I have to be really on my shit. So let me just pull up this track list of Doom 2016. That was about as far as I got.
Nice. I was working from home and I was like gonna break my keyboard at one point because I'm like typing these like really, really annoying. Like I'm typing these like super, super long, annoying, like into a spreadsheet that goes into a database and all of that. And like I'm listening to the Doom soundtrack and I'm just like bashing my keys, and I'm just like, I'm not going to have a workable keyboard. If I keep this up, I'm not going to be able to play Doom after we're done talking about it.
I had the same experience today, and I think it was Bang Camaro that I reached for. Same effect. When you get that groove going, man, it's just yes.
All of a sudden, you're typing to the beat.
Absolutely.
You and Bang Camaro. Well, here's the part of the show where we can't just give you the goods right away, right? So what I want to do is I kind of want to go to the bottom of the table and see Matt Naas and Rance Denton. Can I say your last name?
Yeah, you can say my last name.
Okay, sorry. Am I allowed? Is an international man of mystery?
Are you going to dox me? Is this a dox?
Oh, dude, I didn't know it was a dox party.
It's a dox party. Yeah. We doxed Matt months ago. He loved it.
Oh man, so many pizzas.
House. Yeah, so many.
I ordered none of them.
But you ate all of them. A bunch of vegetarian pizzas show up. You're like, but what am I supposed to fucking do with these?
All right, cool. The squirrels are gonna love these.
I love pepper.
Well,
I can't burn this for fuel.
In addition to Rance hosting FPS with me, Rance has his own podcast called the Quarantine Book Club that I want him to talk about.
Oh, I mean, it is the best thing I get to do every week. My brother Bob and I read a bunch of really shitty books and get angry about them. And usually, like, I teach English. I love literature. It's one of my favorite things to talk about and analyze. And really, this just sort of goes down the hole of us getting really hammered and getting angry about these books because they're not good and they possess very little literary merit. So I got the Quarantine Book Club that I do with my brother. And I also just released a novel this past year called His Ragged Company. It's a Western fantasy book. So it is a thing. That's what I got going on.
I love this idea. What's the worst book that you've read so far?
It was actually really fitting to be on Discuss Metal talk about this. It was this book called Austin Weird, and it's all about this Viking who is a bouncer at a metal club in Austin, Texas.
So a regular bouncer at a metal club.
It is a piece of shit. And I went into it thinking this book's going to be super great. And then we found at the 4 books into the series that the author just he had somebody on Fiverr do his cover and then just didn't pay and ripped off the picture from Fiverr that the artist had put up there. So the front of the book just has Fiverr watermarks all over it.
Oh wow!
And now he's selling it as an NFT.
Yeah.
So you're just you're dipping deep into the self-published madness.
Yeah, and I love.
Suggestion.
Oh no! Please do. I'm always about suggestions. We're reading one called Dinosaur Lords this week, and it sucks.
Yeah, I cannot remember this author off the top of my head, but primo local talent.
That's the thing, man. Is that there's some amazing self-published books out there, and then holy shit, there are some garbage ones.
10 feet of absolute garbage. Oh, that's amazing. I love
How
that.
many zombie stories have you read this week, Matt? Because I've got a whole stack of independently produced zombie stories.
That's another one where there's 3 great ones and 30,000 terrible ones.
Oh, I love it when you go to Barnes and Noble and you get an anthology that's the Sidewalk of the Living Dead featuring the only Stephen King story with zombies in it, and then all these other authors, and you're like, this is all garbage. This is all bad.
It's like those dollar store horror movie compilations, right? They're like horror classics, but there's one good. It's got Night of the Living Dead on it, and then it's got 1,000 movies you've never heard of before.
They've got one coked out Stephen King story that he doesn't even remember writing.
Exactly.
And then eventually you find the deal.
And then it's 30 Edith Swenson Tales from the Dark Side episodes.
Yes.
Well, speaking of that, let's roll into what Matt Naas has going on in his
everybody.
daily when he's not hanging out with us.
Hi, everybody. I am Matt Naas, and I am from Gabber Media, and we proudly do the Roach Koach Podcast. The Roach Koach Podcast is the journey to create the nu metal canon. Every week, or actually at this point is every other week, we listen in full to a album to decide whether or not it is exemplary of the style of nu metal. We've been doing it about 5 years, which is unbelievable to us. And it is Lauren Kozlowski, Jennifer Bloomer, and myself, Jennifer Sosha, now that she's married. I just gave away one of her kids' passwords. Those future kids' passwords are going to be so blown wide open. But yeah, and we have a hell of a lot of fun doing that. And we also I am involved with a show called Transmissions from the Dark Side, where we watch anthology horror. Transmissions from the Dark Side has gone through all of Tales from the Dark Side and all of 90s anthology horror monsters. And we're currently watching some of our favorite anthology horror movies. We just finished Body Bags, which was supposed to be kind of like an analog to Tales from the Crypt for Showtime, but didn't quite get there. Even though John Carpenter has this face during most of his, he's kind of like the spine of Body Bags, and he has a face that's just like, we're doing this in one take, no matter what.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's just
and then that one take becomes the show.
Yeah. Like first thought, worst thought. At one point he does the away we go arms. It's like, what is happening? But we just did our very first watch and comment. We just watched Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, because Halloween 3 is truly the only anthology. Like John Carpenter intended Halloween to be anthology, but it was so successful that they had to make Halloween 2 with Michael Myers. And then he was like, well, don't worry, 3's going to be an anthology. And then it's that bonkers psycho mask movie. So we watched that and commented on it. And that's this week's episode. So you can find all of these shows at gabbermedia.com. And we'd love to have you come around.
Roach Koach is one of the best names ever, by the way.
Thank you.
It's just such a great name.
That's all Lauren and Jenny. The long and short of it is they love nu metal. You know, I'm 44. I'm grizzled. And like 99, I watched TRL every week, but I didn't like love nu metal. I would have said that I loved Radiohead and then was insufferable about everything else. It's like, oh, this isn't Radiohead. And it's like, shut up. Nobody cares. I did way too much, as every 20-year-old should. But they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And I was just coming on as a producer, and then I couldn't shut up. And then I became part of the show. So it's been a magical journey. I had never in my life thought I would listen to this much nu metal.
I hear you, brother. It's definitely fun. I like that we're all in the genre of Rance trigger warning. I love that we're all in the world of content creation, which involves experiencing something and getting either really happy or really mad about it.
This man knows I hate the phrase.
How much black metal are we listening to this week, Dan?
Oh, every Mortis album. It's fine.
Oh.
It's me. Why must you make fun of Mortis? Any artist that refers to themselves in the third person, I love. Oh, Mortis is the best. Oh, woe is me, Mortis.
Mortis Matt, I didn't know you were on the show tonight.
Oh, I am, and I'm sad.
I need more cellos, please.
Are you sad or is Mortis sad?
My arpeggiator's broken.
Oh wow. Okay. So we are think we're primed and ready. Joe, do we have anything we need to tell anybody about?
I just want to tell everyone thank you for watching. And you can check out all of our podcasts at discussmetal.com. Some of them feature Matt. Some of them feature Rance. Most of them feature Dan. They all feature me.
Yeah. I have gotten sick a couple of times. Oh, no. I think the only episodes I've ever missed were when my wife was having child.
Well, I think you get sick a lot, though. I mean, just in general, like your body is not ready for like all the kids and the germs.
Actually, I'm going to say something about that real quick.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. I just feel personally attacked. A lot of that has to do, like, I have made a lot of lifestyle changes. I've gone over the past 3 or 4 months. I've actually gone a lot better with my like food. I'm not going to like do an infomercial on like, oh, I started eating kale and now everything's way better. But I did stop drinking, which might actually be like an instant unsubscribe for some people. But I stopped drinking back in November, and honestly, I've felt a lot better since then. I'm not saying people that do drink are trash. I can tell you whenever I do, I feel like trash. So that has helped immensely. And I'm actually hoping that that going forward, that'll actually help me into like other stuff like weight loss and generally having energy to do things.
So proud of you, man. So proud.
Man. Seriously, keep rocking it. That rules.
I'm looking
but
forward to having energy to wake up. Right. I love. Sometimes I just dream of having the energy to climb stairs.
Oh, God. Okay, so about that, I got back from vacation on Sunday, as of the recording of this, and I heard a drip. I knew I should take care of it. I decided to ignore it. Woke up the next morning and half my basement floor was flooded.
Oh my God.
So you're talking about not having enough energy to go up the stair or go down flight of stairs just to check on a leaking noise.
Oh no.
So I've still got a long way to go before I've got the energy to
Does your whole basement have a faint odor to it?
It's getting better.
Oh man, it's the worst. I sympathize with you because I grew up with just flooding basements, and I wanted to burn the house down.
Pet stain remover.
Ah, good call.
Just saying, it helps a lot because your pet stains are not all that different than people stains. But all you got to do is just suck a whole bunch of water out of your carpet, and then just hope to God it doesn't turn to mold.
Break out the shop vac.
That's right. When you mentioned people stains, Matt's eyes sort of went up. Like, are there bodies in his basement?
Yeah, I was like, people
that I don't know about.
Is this a Slipknot song I'm not aware of? I can't wait for Corey to sing about people stains.
Have you heard Disaster Piece lately, Matt?
Yeah, you might have me.
Well, speaking of disaster pieces, let's talk about Doom. And I want to do kind of this. Everybody's like, "Oh, we're 17 minutes in, and now they're going to talk about Doom." Welcome to our show. Welcome to our channel, our brand, so to speak. I just want to do like a little bit of a round table and find out what was your guys' first experience with Doom. I'm going to throw it to Matt Naas first.
Interesting. I didn't get a PC until about 95. So I was probably a little bit late to the Doom party for like the early adopters, but probably one of the bigger first waves of people that had it. But I kind of got into PC gaming through Warcraft 2. Then that transitioned into Quake, which back transitioned into Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, I didn't have a system that could run anything, but I remember seeing Doom, and I remember seeing like all the cheats that you could do and like all the God mode and stuff like that. And I was like, what is this game? And then seeing Wolfenstein and like seeing all of those and not having a computer that could do any of that. And then finally getting one. And then it was just StarCraft, Diablo, Doom. But like, honestly, that first Doom made me motion sick. So I played a lot more Quake, which is weird, but that's kind of where I lived until Doom 2016. And then I was like, oh yeah, where have I been? This is the best.
It's those dull textures, Matt. Everything just a little bit more pleasant on the eyes when you don't have all those oranges and greens and blues and the streamer's least favorite texture.
Well, I remember playing E1M7 like 1,000 times and just eating shit every time. I was just terrible at the game as well. Was not good at it. And then when I got good, then things got
GUD.
Yeah. Get good, as they say.
Get good. Stop being trash. I had to stop being trash, and then I got good, and then 2016 came out, and I felt like the most powerful human that's ever held a controller in their life.
A controller.
I still don't have a
Joe,
good
we need to
PC.
start vetting our guests better. No, I'm kidding.
Man,
I was
can't
actually
have
2016. My first playthrough of 2016 was on a controller too. So I'm right there with you.
Dan tries to be PC elitist with everything, even the games that he once played on an Xbox 360. I get shit constantly for playing Borderlands with a controller. I don't know how you can do that. I'm like, dude, the game came out on 360. This is all I know. This thumb does this. This thumb does this. It's fine.
I don't know.
But do you play inverted? Because that's my problem. Is that I play
shut
inverted.
up right now, Rance.
I don't know where that came from. It must have been like growing up on.
It came from the Nintendo 64, Rance.
It must have, because I cannot look up to look up. I have to look up to look down. And everybody around me is like, "You're fucking broken."
Star Fox on the SNES.
That might have been.
That's what did it for me. Got to play those inverted controls. Got to do it.
I do think it's fun, just as a little side note, that Matt's first game instead of Doom was Quake. It couldn't have had anything to do with the industrial soundtrack.
Well, and that the nail gun was 9 Inch
Nails logo on everything. Yeah.
Were you just terribly disappointed though with the soundtrack for Quake, where you're like, okay, the menu music is phenomenal. This menu music is exactly what I'm gonna get, and then you get into it, it's just a bunch of like weird breaths.
Yeah, it's like
you're like, wait, Trent, what the fuck did
Children
you do?
crying lightly in the background.
clang. Just way over processed chains in a box.
A ticking clock.
And then just the regular sound effects of oh,
or that floating things that would go quaw, quaw. I don't know why. That sticks in my head all the time.
That was pretty fucking good, man.
oh, I loved it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't, like, every time I wake up in the morning, I still make the Quake jumping sound.
or the one that always killed me was the one where he's drowning and you just hear
he's like choking to death on chicken or something. Yeah.
This super bubbly one where it's like, I don't know.
And we may be retreading old ground here, but Rance, when was the first time that you got into Doom?
It's funny hearing Matt say 1995 because it reminds me, and I'm not saying it to be an elitist asshole, but it reminds me like how early I got into Doom. I remember going to computer shows with my dad because my father was an older dude, but he was really into computers. And we had like a 286 and we would go to computer shows in the Maryland area. And right when Doom shareware hit and they released it up on the BBS or whatever, it was then just at every computer show, and you would go and every other booth had a Doom demo going. And I played Wolfenstein when I was a kid. My dad had gotten that and I was like, yeah, I'm playing this. And the minute I saw Doom, I was like, Dad, dude, we got to get this. And I was like, I think I was like 11 at the time, or 10 or 11. So we got it. The first episode on two 3.5 discs, and got home, put it in, installed it, and the computer was like, "You're an idiot. You need 2 more megabytes of RAM." And it took a year and a half for us to get 2 more megabytes of RAM. And then I played it, and I never looked back, man. It became my absolutely favorite game, and it was honestly part of that was due to the music. I had never heard music like that come from a computer. I'd heard it on the NES and SNES, but not the same, not what sounded like it wanted to be like thrash metal. Everything else felt a lot more, synthesized. And hearing this MIDI thrash metal coming through my speakers, I was like, this is badass. I like this. And it was a game that pulled no punches at the time. It didn't care that it was violent. It wanted to be it wanted to be metal as shit. And I liked that. And it really spoke to me as like an 11-year-old.
Joe, what about you?
I can definitely look back and say the first time I played Doom was after Dan became obsessed with a game called Wolfenstein 3D. I actually worked my way backwards with classic first-person shooters. I think Duke Nukem is the first one I can remember thinking consciously, this is a first-person shooter where I kind of have the ability to do whatever I want. I can jump up there. I can fly up there. I can kick whatever that monster is in the face. Depending on what version of the game you're playing, you can do both feet at the same time.
Just equip the foot and then press the kick button.
Yes. So from that, it was the weird history of first-person shooters and id Software. And, well, this is the first-person shooter. No, Wolfenstein 3D is actually the first-person shooter. Somewhere between the Duke Nukem and the Wolfenstein, got a copy of the Ultimate Doom, played it, and the only thing I could say was, I can't jump in this, but I don't care. It was really smooth. It felt like enough of a challenge, and it was just these dark, dingy environments that it was almost perfect. The music wasn't even what landed with me. It was just the constant engagement of move forward, find the next thing to kill, find the exit. If you can't find the exit, find the key, then keep looking for the exit. Don't die. Whatever you do, don't die. I can't remember the first time I found actual secret areas in Doom, because my experience with that was push walls in Wolf 3D. So for me, it was just move forward, find the thing, kill the thing.
So your experience with Doom was wall humping all
and that
the way.
Wonderful sound of just holding down the space bar.
It was worse than Wolfenstein because when you pressed against the wall, it actually made a noise. For some reason, it made this weird digitized sound when you pressed against the wall in Wolfenstein, and you go down the entire wall hitting the space bar. That game wasn't advanced enough to give you wall humping sounds, but it was, it was its own personal hell.
Dude, I remember getting the source code and compiling it myself, and just looking up a guide to code out that sound, just from having to watch you play it. Like, yeah, this is one of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. Can you find something to kill, dude? Like, it looks like you're just moving along the wall, holding down the space bar. Oh yeah, there's secret stuff over here, but you don't know where it is. Well, yeah, I'm looking for it. Why is that sound playing? That's the worst music in Wolfenstein.
Oh, Wolfenstein. I wish I could do a Wolfenstein music podcast, but it would be more just like. Do
you really like this rendition of Green Sleeves or whatever it was?
Yeah. Joe and I did mod our own version of Wolfenstein to include like Nirvana and Korn songs,
and it MIDI. Worked.
Yeah. Joe composed all of those songs in MIDI. It was incredible. Korn's "Got the Life" being the big highlight. I'm just mowing down Nazis.
Hear it in my head. Right?
We'll talk after the show. Rance, don't go anywhere.
Probably still has them. My first experience with not Wolfenstein 3D. My first experience with Doom definitely came after Wolf 3D. My first computer that I had access to was a 286 IBM PS1. And it ran DOS 4.0. I remember that because that's how I learned how to use DOS. Was I actually got we weren't even using the computer. It was outdated at that time, and I remember asking my dad if I could get the computer out and play with it or something because it was just in a closet. And he's like, "Just do whatever you want. Just don't be too loud." And so I actually sat down and read the DOS 4.0 manual so I would know how to use the computer. And once I got it up and running, I started playing all the Apogee games that were on it, like Crystal Caves and Cosmos, Cosmic Adventure, and Dangerous Dave, and like stuff like that. And every single one of those games had a catalog. It was a catalog.bat file, and you type it in, and it would show or it would describe in text only like all of these games that they had available. And so I got hooked initially on the description of Wolfenstein. They were like, it's a full first person 3D view or whatever. And eventually I was able to procure myself a copy of Wolfenstein to play. But then, of course, Wolfenstein, the version of Wolfenstein I had was so old that it was already advertising Doom. And it was all like, basically, I remember the advertisement was basically like, yeah, take your Wolfenstein disc and throw it away. Like you don't need this anymore. So whenever I finally did get a 386, which I think I got like a garage sale or something, it was an upgrade for me. I mean, at that point, this would have been mid 90s, so like Windows PCs had already been a thing for a while. So
this was pre-Gateway, right?
This was before I had the Gateway, yes. And so I got a 386, and I was able to get a Doom shareware copy to play, and I was completely blown away, except for there was one problem. I had no sound. I didn't have speakers for Doom. I didn't have speakers for the computer at all. So like I had like PC speaker sounds. But so I never got to hear the music at first, and I didn't get to hear the sound effects, but like I didn't care because I've always been obsessed with, I think it was like the first time I ever went to a grocery store and I found like a copy of Myst on CD-ROM, and I remember turning it around and looking at it and being like, oh my God, these new games are so much more advanced than the ones I've got on my crappy, garage sale computer at home. But I remember thinking that Myst was like what the screenshots looked. I didn't realize that it was just like a picture. You're navigating through pictures in Maze, a picture maze in Myst. I just assumed that it was like photorealistic graphics. So I became very obsessed with the idea of like a full first person move around in the world and interact with it. And Doom was the best thing that I could run at the time to be able to get that experience. And once I did end up getting a Gateway computer, or my parents probably paid an exorbitant amount of money for us to get a Gateway computer, I hooked it up and installed Doom. And it didn't work, and I had to go on this thing called the internet and figure out how to like download like a source port to get it to run on Windows. Anyway, long story short, once I actually heard the Doom music, it absolutely blew me away because I was was just starting to get into metal and get into like I wasn't into hardcore at the time. It was more just like hard rock and grunge and like a little bit of like whatever Metallica was doing that year. And but that soundtrack was so pumping. It was actually the weirdest experience because it was the first game that I had ever played, ignoring the fact that I didn't have sound in any of my games before that, that I didn't just like turn the radio on and listen to music while I played the game. Doom's soundtrack was sufficient enough for me to be all like, oh my God, I'm like really, I mean, whenever you drop into E1N1 and you hear that first song, Add Doomsgate, I didn't hear MIDI back in the 90s.
Oh, you heard those guitars just absolutely shred.
Yeah, I heard Andrew, what's his name? Herscheltz.
Yes.
IDGKA, or I'm butchering that. We'll have a link to it when we're done with this. But yeah, I mean, it sounded like a full-on band to me because I didn't know anything about music at the time, or now. And so, yeah, I mean, I was completely blown away at how it almost seemed as if the music in the game was somehow connected to what I was doing in the game. Like you just had these giant, you had these huge swells of intensity when you're in the middle of a firefight. And then, whenever you're like going through a dungeon, you've killed all the enemies in the level and it's like dark and dank and you're looking for secret areas. And it's like this like slow, sort of creepy, brooding kind of music. Like I realized that's not actually what was going on, but
that's
I just find that, my imagination, really like I took the entire
filled in those
experience.
blanks.
Yes, hook, line, and sinker. I believed everything it was trying to get me to believe.
Which is really cool because when you think about the way that Mick Gordon, who composed the 2016 music, the way that they specifically work with the layering of music in that game, it sort of answers to how you are playing in that moment. So there are certain tracks that are phased in and phased out based on how quickly you're pressing buttons. That's absolutely mind-blowing to me. And it speaks really well to that, like that experience of, am I somehow controlling the way this music is playing at the moment?
Yeah,
the
like,
way
am I composing this? Yeah.
it's so crazy, like how they layered the stems to react to what the player is doing. But I like what you said there, Dan, when it was like, and Joe said it as well, like the push, and even Id will say this, and when you watch them talk about like 16 or Eternal, they keep talking about the push forward mechanics of the game, but the way that the music itself is such a huge part of pushing you forward. Like Doom has a lot of horror elements to it, but it isn't like a horror game. I don't feel like, oh, this is like Silent Hill, or, you know, this is like, I don't know, insert whatever horror game that you like here. It always feels like, yeah, there's horror aspects to this, but you're a badass and listen to this guitar riff. Like, if you can't slay to this riff, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. We gave you a shotgun and we told you where the kill button was, and we played this music. I mean, come on.
Right. Like in the first one, it's just like, I didn't know anything about the game. Like there was just utter mystery. It's like, you're on Mars, I guess. Good luck.
Actually, Matt.
Oh,
actually, Matt.
Well, you are a space marine.
You're Matt. I'd like to correct you to make sure that you know that you're on Phobos in the first episode. Okay,
you're on a moon.
Your name is Flynn McTaggart.
That was always one of the things that made me
I
so
did not
mad
read anything.
All I know is I'm in corridors. I have a shotgun, sometimes a pistol, sometimes other weapons, and whatever those are, they want to kill me.
A brass knuckle fist
with the tip on the one finger. Just
thank God this man is wandering out on the atmosphere of the Phobos and Deimos moons with his sleeve, his hairy arm just appearing.
What I think is interesting too, though, is it has those like horror elements in the first game. Like it 100% like. Excuse me. I felt like it was a horror game, and of course I'm still talking about the originals because I've got this horrible tendency to do everything in chronological order. I don't know where I got that from, but the idea is that you are just a man in the first Doom and in Doom 2.
Sucking vacuum.
That's right. And you're there because you assaulted a superior officer because he wanted you to fire on civilians.
You put him in a full body cast. This shit sticks in my head.
Yeah,
that shit sticks in my head. I remember reading that readme over and over, and I was like, what a badass. He put this dude in a full body cast. Like, that's how you know Doom Guy is such a badass, because it's like, he doesn't kill him, but he breaks his whole body.
Right.
I don't know.
Which you find out he must have been showing an incredible amount of restraint.
Just meticulously breaks every bone in the man's body, but also makes sure not to murder him.
And as he does it, he makes that that radioactive noise that with the breathing.
Well, it's so funny because like you feel like when you're playing the original Doom that you're just surviving it. You know, and I think the music.
Yes,
I'm like, let's keep this about music, and I'm just like, so the thing about Doom is you're surviving, but yeah, I mean, you're surviving through the whole game.
The music helps,
and you're just a human. And then to jump forward a little bit, you go into 2016, and they're like, we've removed the human element.
You are now the Doom Slayer.
Yeah, now I mean, first of all. The level of fan service from the music, the presentation, the way the game was played.
Oh yeah,
the fan service is it is straight up pornography for guys that grew up playing the original Doom games, where it was just like, hey, what if instead of you just surviving, we're going to create an environment now where everything that's creeping and crawling around in this game is terrified of you. You are no longer like they are no longer for our Watchmen reference here. You are not trapped in there with demons anymore. They are trapped with you.
Yeah,
and like
classic Doom happens to you. You happen to Doom 2016.
And that's interesting because I always wonder like where they determined that decision needed to happen. I love it, but also it's really reminiscent of like the new Wolfenstein stuff, where eventually you got to be the worst threat to the Nazis possible, and they were absolutely scared of you. And it's like this little carryover into Doom.
It's the Inglorious Bastards formula of you're the most dangerous thing here. You have one job, and it's not a complex job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Wolfenstein was the stepping stone there because Wolfenstein came out first. The New Order did, and they present BJ Blazkowicz as this like completely unbelievable action hero. Because if you look at the things that you did in Wolfenstein and you look at the things that you did in Doom, you are an unbelievable action hero. And I like how they embraced that. But tell me if I'm wrong or if this is a urban legend. But supposedly when they asked Mick Gordon to score the 2016 game, did somebody actually tell him to not make it a heavy metal soundtrack?
That's what I had read, is that it was originally planned that it was going to be atmospheric because that was the way Doom 3 was, because they were going for something that was a little more cinematic, in the vein of something that was like a Call of Duty. And that Mick Gordon was like, you know what, that's not Doom, and put together a few songs and played them. And then it just absolutely reformed the expectation of the game from there. That's what I had read too. So
yeah, I definitely read no guitars.
Yes.
Was one of the first instructions.
So I use a lawnmower. It's cool. Or a chainsaw or whatever.
Chainsaw works, right? You didn't say no synths. So I'm good. It is funny because like obviously the history of 16 is mired by like 10 plus years of development hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before they actually were like, yeah, we're going to start over and just crack this open again.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine 16 without the Mick Gordon soundtrack.
Dear God,
like,
no.
It doesn't work. Like when you get to that point where you're hearing the first, like, we're sorry that it had to be like this.
God.
Like, oh my God.
My hair is standing on end, Matt. And then he looks down at the corpse and you hear the music pulsing in the background, that Doomsgate redo.
Yep. And it's just like, and then it just hits the bottom, the elevator doors open, and like the riff ends, and then it's quiet, but you hear the
it's so
like,
perfect.
You're ready to go. The game is like, the music has locked you in to what the game will be. And like, that is the power of music, because without that, it's just a guy click clack and a shotgun, which is fine.
And go ahead.
And it's cool, but it's like that you are amped. You're like ready to go.
And it's the first time that a soundtrack could actually be better than the old school original. The Doom 2016 soundtrack is so good. I think you can put it over any first person shooter, past, present, future. And it's going to be really hard for you to tell me that whatever the original score was is actually better than what Mick Gordon put on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a reason there's an entire series of YouTube videos out there, and then the Doom music kicks in, you know, for every, for especially when they sync it up to John Wick action scenes. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I mean, John Wick basically is the Doom Slayer, right?
Clearly made by a guy who like loves metal as well. And I think one of the things that I loved about just Mick Gordon, everything around 2016, is the showmanship of it as well. That like, I love the fact that there's videos that he recorded of him playing the songs and this, like, what is it? Some ridiculous 9-string monstrosity. And
it looks like a Jared Dines video. Yeah. Like,
and like also like him being at the VMAs, which are always their own little like, or not VMAs, VGMAs. And it's always a little bit bullshit, but like he gets up there looking like a businessman and just starts this song live, and it looks bad. It does music for video games what John Romero did for programmers, which is John Romero on this image for everybody in the early 90s of, I'm a fucking rock star. I've got my Lamborghini. I'm a badass with long hair. Look at how cool I am. Like, you don't have to be that nerd that you envision from a movie. And all of a sudden, the same thing happens in 2016 again with the music because of what Mick Gordon brought to the table.
Yeah, it absolutely destroyed me in the best way possible. When I loaded that game up, ignoring how long it took to download and install and all that, so the anticipation just built and built and built. And I was loading up old school Doom and playing it while I was waiting for this one to install. And it was like this whole ritual. And what's funny is when that game came out, actually, I was at the video game store that I used to work at. And I had my whole PC. I lugged my whole PC up there, which is something that we used to do for some crazy reason. And we were all sitting down ready to play Doom. My wife called me. She's like, "Hey, one of the kids is sick. They're like throwing up real bad. You need to come home." So like that was the night that the game came out. And so like I drove home, took care of the kid. I did not disassemble the computer or whatever. And I didn't get to actually play it until the next day.
Did I actually get to play
work.
2016 before you did?
You might have. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone did. Those first 24 hours were crucial, but I remember sitting at the game store, and after they were closed, it was like 10:30 at night. And yeah, just like you step onto that elevator, and Samuel Hayden's like, I will take personal responsibility for the events of the last 48 hours, but you must understand. And like the Doomslayer's he's like cracking his knuckles, and hear that music pulsing, and just whenever you get hit with that at Doomsgate, it just sounds like somebody throwing cosmic basketballs into a metal wall.
It always reminds me of like an angry rubber band.
Yeah, it's so great. And yeah, like I was fully to the point where like I didn't even know that I wanted this until this is what I got. Like I had never, for being a metalhead, for being into like extreme metal, a lot of the reason that I'm into extreme metal, extreme entertainment and stuff has a lot to do with some of those formative games like Doom, of like, let's just be extreme. Some people might get sick of it after a while, but like I don't. I'll download and play Doom mods until I die. You know what I mean? Like that's just the kind of person that game sort of turned me into. And so like I lived this entire lifetime removed from the game, and I come back into the game, and it's like accepting me as a metal fan, like with loving arms. It's like, dude, we got you. We get you. You're one of us. Come into the fold.
Here's your gun. Go kill.
It was literally one of the most beautiful experiences I've had with a video game. Like it during like the more adult side of my life.
And it's not necessarily, for the most part, I think for most people who played 2016, it's not accessible metal or like radio ready.
No.
It reminded me of the way I felt when I heard like some of the tracks on that. I think on 2016, Hellraiser, Rip and Tear remind me of like a weird mixture between like semi new In Flames, like Reroute to Remain, mixed with I don't know. I was like Frederick Thornendal, like this really experimentally weird metal with, okay, this is a little more accessible, but it definitely knows, it knew where it came from. And Mick Gordon did not pull any punches. There is lowered guitar. What do you call that? It's tuning.
Down-tuned.
Down-tuned. It's brutal as shit. And it's not just like, here's some metal guitar that sounds like washed out industrial.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. When you watch it, like he did that big kind of explanation of how he made the music. Like it's on YouTube. It's worth the watch if you love music or just love Doom. And like the subtones that he was using, just like the bass tones, like he spends so much time being like, this is how I created the uneasiness and the unrest that you kind of feel being in hell. And like you see him like, and then he's like, but then I layer this synth on top of it, and it kind of like jabs through all of like, okay, you've got the unrest, but then you have the jabs and then the riffs on top, but then how you interact with all the weapons can let 23 other things, but there's still a structure to the song and the waveforms that he's using. It is like unbelievably technical how he did the whole thing. Like it is, his brain is on another level, like how he thought this through and how they were able to implement all of it. Yeah, he's a badass. I mean, look at this guy. He knows what's up. Look at that 9 string.
Look at how many strings. There's so many strings and they're so loose. I don't even know if I'm talking about anything that's important.
It's literally enough strings to make corn salivate. You know, like it's like, whoa, wait a minute. He's got 2 more.
He's like, this 7 string won't do it anymore.
Oh, and there's the first game, the original Doom, that soundtrack, Matt, like you had mentioned, it had so many popular thrash and metal songs, and even alternative songs. But then 2016 just used the previous games as a reference. There's so many just woven in references to the soundtrack for Doom 1 and Doom 2 and even Doom 3.
Yeah, they've got the main theme from Doom 3 in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got these cool little Easter eggs that if you listen close enough, you're like, I know exactly what level that is. I know what 2 levels this is from. And he just gave so much of a shit about the source material. And I think that's where your Doom fans loved it. But also if you were just a metalhead and you were listening to this music, you also had this deep appreciation for the amount of talent that went into it. And it wasn't just a mail-in video game soundtrack dude thinking he was doing metal. It was actually metal.
It's brilliant. And I love watching speedrunners of 2016. I watch a guy named Bite Me. He just crushes that game. Yeah. It's like, okay, you are way better than I will ever be. He did 100%
jump through the entire level. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, and he does like 100% run. So he's not using exploits.
Okay.
You know, like he's literally playing the game and he's like, and 3-2, and that's where the cyber demon comes up. And here we go. And now
he's gone.
Yeah. Now that he's gone. Yep. And a BFG shot here. And I've got 2 more of those because that spawns here. And I'm like, you just mathed this game.
As an old guy, I mean, what is our blood pressure looking like while playing these games?
Oh God, mine's through the roof. My wife's coming in and telling me your face is very red right now and your veins are popping out. I'm like, I know. Can you go get me that shot that's in the fridge? Like shot is in like a thing to put in my body, not alcohol. Also, I need to hydrate myself right now and go to bed at 9:30.
I felt very under control in 2016. Then Eternal hit and I felt like a maniac because of the way that the game is structured. In having to use the fire belch to get the armor, to do the glory kill, to get my health, to use my chainsaw to get the ammo. Like the dance of Eternal was maddening to me at times. But that also, like, because Mick was there for that soundtrack, like the music propels you in every arena that you're in. He gives you something to latch onto, something new and something familiar. It's like he just identifies like, oh, okay, well, this is your first time facing this person. And this is kind of the theme that you're going to hear again. So like, I forget, you know, there's the one that throws the shield up and then it kind of like has an attack that's like, bow, bow, bow. And like, no matter when it comes out, it all sounds like it's perfectly in tune with the music.
And you're not even thinking about it. You're like plasma, so I can break that shield. Yep.
Oh God, got to switch again. My controller. Why am I not playing this on PC?
This hurts.
I had to buy a new mouse to play it on PC because I only had a 2-button mouse and a scroll wheel. That was not cutting it. I mapped like flame belch to 1 mouse button with my newer mouse because it had like 4 extra for extra mouse buttons. And so it's like flame belch, glory kill, ice bomb, like it's such a weird experience to where I can do all of that stuff without even thinking about it much faster than I could say it. Like that I could narrate or tell you what I'm doing or why.
It becomes muscle memory in a completely different way.
Yeah.
This is the sequence of buttons I have to press to survive 5 seconds longer and not reset the loop of amazing music.
It's built on Synapse, and the music's built on Synapse because it's all built on, like, again, push forward, keep going, chug ahead. You're the machine. The machine runs on metal and riffs. Keep going.
And it made
gore. Yeah.
And it made movement so absolutely necessary. There was no way in hell that you could stay still. And I will say that I think the music in Doom Eternal is both. It's the best thing and sort of the worst thing that happened to Doom Eternal, because Mick Gordon's work is so amazing. It is even more ridiculous than Doom 2016 was, and so much more experimental and so much more peculiar that I don't think the soundtrack of Eternal could have happened or been received as well had 2016 not already laid the path for it. 2016 was crisp, but it was also really no holds barred. And then you had stuff like Super Gore Nest and The Only Thing They Fear Is You, that does some really brilliantly weird key shifting. Didn't happen in 2016.
Yeah.
But Mick's soundtrack is so fucking good in Eternal that, unfortunately, when Andrew Hulshut came in and did the DLC, to me it all sounded like mud. I couldn't tell you a single memorable track from the DLC because Mick's stuff from the original game was just so on point. And it's not that Andrew Hulshut did bad work. His work is amazing. It's just not Mick's. And weird to say, but it really demonstrates just how much personality Mick Gordon put into these two games.
And that's one thing I know I'm disappointed with looking back. You can buy the 2016 soundtrack. You can listen to it.
I have it on vinyl behind me.
Just take every single bit of that in, and they haven't done what they need to do to release Eternal.
Which makes no sense. The whole Mick Gordon arc here in Eternal makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you guys doing? Get it together. Do right by Mick Gordon, please.
Even if he is being unreasonable, just give him what he wants.
The man
People have been giving rock stars what they want.
Yes,
to do brilliant things since the beginning of this kind of music.
And he continued to do video game music for other stuff too. So like I would love to know what the relationship breakdown was there. But yeah, like it's so unfortunate because I feel like that's one of those places where you're going to have to pick an artist who can do their best Mick Gordon impression. But that's not an impression. That is a guy who designed a whole style of music with two games.
Well, and let's take a second to actually take a second to talk about Andrew Hulshut, because this was a guy that started off just doing covers of the Doom songs on guitar. And I remember because like pretty quickly after I started using GZ Doom to play Doom on PC, you had all these, obviously it was the best source port to use because you had all these mods. I dropped Andrew's Doom soundtrack on as the actual soundtrack almost as soon as it was possible, because it was a full instrumentation. And so now it's actually kind of weird whenever I go back and play like the Steam version and it's like just the original midis. I'm like, well, you messed up, Steam. But I thought it was kind of incredible that you could start off doing something like that, like just as a music YouTuber, and now you get to step into probably way too big of shoes to fill, but you're stepping into the role of a guy that everyone loves. I mean, he's not dead. you know, like
R.I.P. Mick Gordon.
Yeah, that everybody loves.
Mhm.
And so I think that his work is really. I actually like Andrew's work in other games.
I do too.
Well.
I think Andrew Holshut is phenomenal. The IDKFA stuff was frankly the first time and you guys probably experienced the same thing. Like when I was a little younger, right? Really when YouTube started becoming bigger, I was always desperate to find covers of Doom music because no one did them.
No.
And I didn't realize it was basically because it was like copyright infringement, because these songs are basically
Bobby Prince is going to show up at your house and
I'm 70 years old and I ripped these songs off.
Do you see this keyboard?
You
I
think
wrote those
Metallica's
stems on
going to take
this.
you to court? You need to meet Bobby Prince.
And Andrew
I stole this first.
It's mine to steal. Andrew Holshutz was the first time in years of looking for good Doom cover music that he got it. And every track was good. There were a few like collections of Doom remake soundtracks where maybe 3 or 4 of the tracks would be good. And then you just come to like, I don't know, E1M8, the Phobos Anomaly song. And it just sounded like absolute ass. I'm like, what guitar tone is this dumbass using? And or you'd get to like the one that was always my make or break was hearing a remake of E2M1, which I think was based off of AC/DC's Big Gun.
Yeah.
And there's this phenomenal solo in the MIDI track, and it's fucking insane. And I was like, I can't listen to any remake of this that doesn't have this solo perfectly redone. Sure enough, Andrew Holshutz has the solo perfectly redone and more. And I was like, this is it. This man has done it. It's the holy grail of Doom remake music. And so, yeah, I'm the same way. Like the IDKFA soundtrack is just, that's the way to listen to it. And it's this perfect transition into like 2016 when you just play all the games through.
Well, and he comes at it too with a much more like a less experimental angle, because I would say that Andrew's more traditional metal. Like he's rooted in, this dude, when I listen to this dude play, I was like, okay, he listens to the same bands that I do. You know what I mean? Like it's the same sort of thing. And I think that's what makes it kind of makes what Mick Gordon did so much more special, because I don't think Mick Gordon's just sitting there listening to death metal all day. And I think that's why his stuff was able to be so accessible, because like when you listen to extreme metal, there's like a set of rules that you sort of have to follow, your time signatures have to be a certain way. Your guitar tone has to be a certain way. And you figure all that stuff out based on the genre that you've chosen to play, so you're like, if I'm going to play death, it's one of those, like, if you're going to play metal, you need to know the difference between technical brutal death metal and brutal technical death metal.
Well, it's like the music,
you're going to screw it up,
It's like the music is less about the guitar, which is what we hear in those old school midis, and it's more about sound manipulation and how can I make the mood of this game. Well, logically, there has to be an extremely low tuned guitar right here.
Right.
So he's not afraid to move in and out of, well, yeah, it's metal, but it's also disturbing and it eats at you a little bit while you're listening to it. And you feel like it's in sync because it's timed so well.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so powerful too that you end up moving to that music. It's like a rhythm game. I think back to Guitar Hero and Rez and all those other games that forced you to make motions and movements based on what the music demanded. And that was how I felt in Doom 2016, a little less in Eternal. But especially in 2016, I moved because the music sort of demanded it. And that was a really unique feeling because I felt like I had to I felt like I had to like shoot when the beats told me to, as opposed to just wantonly, because if I didn't, then something felt off because the music was that driving. I mean, I definitely shot whenever the fuck I could, but
yeah, absolutely. And that's a must. But I think the fundamentals of 2016 are so much more sound in what you're talking about compared to Eternal. Eternal is just keep the hammer down. Let the clip roll. It's fine. Whatever you got.
You're going to get more bullets eventually, man. It's fine.
Yeah. Whereas like the scarcity aspect of 16 is much more akin to earlier Dooms to me than Eternal's like, just chainsaw. Just you're gonna get it's gonna reload.
The rainbow of weapons will fly out of them. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm busting open demon pinatas. Yeah, like it's
right. 16. I mean, I loved that they went that big with it because there was that question of like, where else can we go? So they're just like, well, just do demon pinatas. Don't worry. It's fine.
There was, I was trying to think, I was actually talking to my wife in the car today, and I was like, I want to make a really good comparison on the show tonight. And I was thinking about like, to what metal albums would I compare 2016? And to what metal albums would I compare Eternal? And because I was thinking tonally about these games too, like 2016 feels drastically different in tone and atmosphere than Eternal. 2016 takes itself almost on the verge of a little too seriously, but I love it. It felt like that darkness that the first Doom had that I liked. And so it felt like, I don't know, like I was saying, like I said, at the gates, like it felt like it took itself seriously, almost too seriously. And then Eternal comes along and you've got like all this, guys, I don't know, like I love it, but there's a lot of weird bullshit in it.
You've got like spinning health, like spinning med packs.
You don't even rip the gun out of people's hands anymore. You just find a floating gun. It's an arcade game.
Yeah. It
felt like just like, I don't know, a Man of War album or a Sonata Arctica album, like, which is cool in its own right. But also there's a little something about it that lacks. The music is phenomenal, but the overall tone, I'm like, okay, it's a little too metal at times for me, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
bro,
but it's it's like,
look, need I remind you, you are the Doom Slayer.
If the Doom Slayer just stopped and was like, strike while the iron is hot, I would have been there for it. I would have been there for it. He just has that cod piece outfit.
Yes, holding up the ring. The ring. I
feel like Corvus from Heretic could pull it off.
Yes,
but yeah, I don't know about our good boy Flynn McTaggart.
Is he even that anymore? I mean, the man is basically rip and tear at this point.
I mean, that's the only words that he says. A lot, if you're I don't want to spoil it. He does say something really funny at the end of the DLCs, but you're all gonna have to fight your way through it to hear it, or just look it up.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy search.
It's not that big of a secret. He kills like the ultimate evil bad guy, and then he's like, "Don't you want to say anything to your creator?" And he's like, "No," and they just it's incredible, just incredible stuff. Yeah, I mean these sounds. It's funny that you're like, oh, make a comparison. I didn't even think to do that, to compare it to like an album, to a heavy metal album. But if I was going,
I more just did artists as opposed to.
I could only come up with one. Well, I could only come up with one because you got my brain going now. Tony Danza, the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza, Danza 4, the Alpha, the Omega. That's the name of the album. Danza 4, yeah. I would say that sonically Mick Gordon's playing and everything reminds me a lot of Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. So definitely check that album out.
Don't listen to the first one. It's a lot of Guns N' Roses ripoffs.
But yeah, I'd say
how Doom is just a bunch of ripoffs of Guns N' Roses.
It's fine.
It's all cyclical, right? Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Doom's comeback was a lot better than Guns N' Roses' comeback.
Very much so. Weren't into Chinese democracy?
Not as much. Did you
get your free Coke?
Democracy? No, I don't think.
Well, no, you can wait 20 years on Chinese democracy the way that Axl did. So it's fine.
Oh no. You know what? We do have a Guns N' Roses episode on the schedule for 2022.
Whoa!
Spoilers, man.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
You dropped that Alpha.
Yeah, well,
and the Omega.
Give you a little something to look forward to. But yeah, no, it's funny though, because the guitar tone that Mick Gordon has going on, which I'm sure is 100% unique to him, reminds me a lot of Tony Danza's. It's actually a guy named Josh Travis, who doesn't actually live that far away from me, that did all the music on that album. And yeah, that's who, Joe, that's who they should have gotten to do the DLCs when they lost Mick Gordon, was Josh Travis.
If they'd called us, we could have made the recommendation.
Yeah.
We definitely could have done that. But yeah, these soundtracks, and like Matt said, it is a travesty that we can't get, the Doom Eternal soundtrack to listen to. I mean, I can listen to it on YouTube anytime I want to, which isn't that big of a deal, but like, give me that double vinyl. Give me that awesome release of a soundtrack that everyone's been waiting for.
This man wants release.
Yeah, just let him release.
I just want a good mix master. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
I don't want the brick wall limiter that's in the game right now.
All I'm saying is that Mondo would do this soundtrack proud. There'd be at least 3 versions of it. Double gatefold, Stoughton tip-on jacket. Give me that multicolored pressed vinyl. Give me like a Hellspawn. Give me a call it Chainsaw Eruption. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a splatter vinyl. Yeah, come on. This is money in the bank.
Do you want the holy fucking shit edition, Dan?
Yes. I want more of these. He's all dusty, but I want more of these.
That is a great statue.
It really is.
That actually came from the collector's edition of Doom 2016 that I bought for PC. It comes in a hold on a second.
Oh,
I'm turning off my camera.
Is he gonna get his helmet?
He might be going to get the helmet.
His helmet.
Is he going to put the helmet on? That's the real question.
He should.
Rance, I love that you're wearing the Animal Crossing.
the rip and tear shirt.
Yeah. Because I remember like those YouTube videos when Eternal came out and they were like best friends.
There's such a great and warm community, it seems like, behind the creation of Doom and its release as well. Like, for a game, especially Eternal, once it had 2016 in the pocket and people knew what they were getting with Eternal, id Software really leaned into that community aspect of the release for Eternal. And instead of it being, it's a lot like, I guess, individual, like local metal communities. Like, whereas you think from the outside, there'll be a bunch of hard asses and really unkind, you get in close and usually metal dudes are really nice. And the same thing with 2016 or with Eternal, where it came out and like they had this buddy relationship, even with the games that were released on the same day. And they just cross promoted something like Animal Crossing. I was like, that's so fucking cool. Like, that's so cool.
That's the thing about metal, man. It's all about feeling brutal and feeling extreme and screaming at the top of your lungs, playing the heaviest fucking most brutal thing that's ever been played. But you want to hang out with other people that like the music too.
Right. You want to be let's be nice people. Let's not burn too many churches tonight.
Well, there was that one time.
Yeah.
All right. So
Welcome.
He's back. Welcome back, Dan.
What do you got for us, buddy?
Let's see it.
Oh, you're on Spotlight.
This
He's got it in the box.
Is the box that guy came in, that statue. This was it's so dusty. I just got it off the top of the shelf. But
Spotlight the dust, man.
Hang on, I got to move my microphone.
Oh, weird. Oh, so cool.
Yeah, so that's the box that it came in. And what's hilarious about it is as soon as I opened that box up, I pulled out the statue, I put batteries in it. And so the bottom of this statue lights up. There's like a light and a fan down there. It takes like AAA batteries. And I had this guy. It lasted like a day. But
because he didn't turn it off.
I opened up that box. I took out the disc for Doom 2016, right? I put it in my computer. And it immediately opened up Steam and started downloading the game. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I bought that gigantic box
for an execute command.
How do you like your digital download?
That's why nowadays and even like whether it's music or games, I'm just like, fucking, I'm just getting it digitally. Like, I'm just gonna be more crap sitting in my house. Damn it.
Well, dude, every time I buy something for the PS4, I always put the disc in without the internet connected just to make sure that the game is actually on there. Because if there's nothing on one of those discs, I'm taking it back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's literally nothing on this disc.
That sucks.
Like,
But it looks so
Good.
official.
Yeah.
it does. I mean, I like having the tin case and everything, but like, since it's already a redeemed download, I can't like ever sell this if like they're gonna take my house or something, you know. Like it's hey, well, give us that copy of Doom. I'm sorry, buddy, but you're just gonna have to shoot me.
Here goes Dan running out naked with his Revenant statue and his Doom tin case.
And the Godzilla statue.
You're
Don't
never
forget that.
taking this from me.
his
And
rip
then
and tear,
this
his
guy.
rip and tear undies on.
Yes.
See, that's
This
nice.
guy got damaged in shipping though, so it's kind of
It's fine.
Is it gatefold?
kind of crunkly. It is not gatefold,
Okay,
but since we're doing an impromptu unboxing, let's
take a
have
look.
Yeah, I mean it comes in these nice sleeves here. It's got the Doom Slayer's coffin, and then it's got the track listing because it's a CD, boys.
That's right.
Yeah, and then
It's got lyrics on that book, right?
it's on beautiful colored vinyl. I promise you, Mom, my records are not satanic. Don't look at that one.
Turn it over, dude. Turn it over quick. Turn it over. Okay, that's better.
No, it's just. The
Oh
same.
no, it's the same thing, Satan.
This is going right in Dad's bonfire later. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Now that I've got that geekdom out of the way.
I love it. You know me in records, man. And if you don't know me in records, you're going to find out when we transition to records of the year.
Oh yeah, we should
Matt.
do that. Oh, that's a perfect transition. This guy's a real professional.
Hey, I'm here for you.
Thanks for making the show awesome, Matt.
All right, are we transitioning to our record of the year?
Transition.
Who wants to go first?
Me,
Not
Wolfie, Mammoth, WVH.
Yes,
Listen to
Wolfgang
it.
Van Halen.
It's like album of the year. Shout out to John Drake. You're not here. And just for Jeff, because he's not here, Spirit Box, Eternal Blue. Listen to it.
That's a beautiful case, though.
It really is, dude. And I don't know if you've had the chance to listen to this one, but like,
No, I haven't.
this is one of those, it's all good and it changes subgenres many times throughout the record, but you don't hate it. It's melodic, it's heavy, it's all the modern metal tropes, and then we can actually sing.
That's awesome.
And that's important sometimes. Sometimes it's not about being
Sometimes I
Matt's
just want to be a
imitation of
cricket.
brutal.
God damn it.
It's not all.
I don't really know what's wrong with that, but all right.
So which album was that last one, Joe?
That is Spirit Box, Eternal Blue.
All right, I'll take a listen to
I
that.
think Matt Naas would enjoy that record.
I really do too. He might actually go out and buy the vinyl.
You know me. I'm hungry for that vinyl. Give me ridiculous wait times.
Give me all those
Well,
Blue
I'm
Note
selling,
jazz
like,
records,
I'm
baby.
selling all my vinyl, so you know
Are you in the process of it?
I am.
That's like, I have a wallet. Do you want to?
How
No,
much
I'm-
money?
I'm thinning it down because it does turn into like I'll buy it. I bought something 2 years ago that I've listened to once,
Mhm.
and I'm
That's where
like,
I'm at. Yeah.
yeah, that's gotta go. And it's just so I can buy things that I actually will listen to, or buy the one album that I've been looking for forever.
Yeah.
Like I want a Robert Ludwig pressing Van Halen, not Van Halen, Led Zeppelin 2.
There you go. Okay.
I can bore you with record shit all day.
God,
When they
that's a white whale.
when they first pressed Led Zeppelin 2, they had a hot cut, but people's record players were so cheap, it couldn't track it. So it would bump the needle out of the groove.
Wow. Okay.
So they basically stopped the presses, literally the record presses, and made a quieter cut. But like a lot of them got out. So that first Robert Ludwig, and like if this is for anybody watching, if you're at a yard sale and you see Led Zeppelin 2, you pull out that record, you look in the dead wax, and if the initials RL are there and they are charging 50 cents, be calm, put it back into the sleeve and say, yeah, I guess I'll take this, because that is a $300 record in good shape all day.
Shit your pants when you get in the car.
Damn.
That's some sweet juice for you. But usually they look like absolute trash. And if it's absolute trash, then because that record, you listen to the fuck out of it. That's just how it works.
Rance, what do you got?
So mine is, I hope I don't have to defend it, but mine is, mine is God is Partying by Andrew WK.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why would you have to defend that?
Okay,
because you're here.
I love Andrew WK. I would literally go to the grave for that dude. When Party Hard came out, that album knocked the shit out of me, because I heard it on the radio and I was like, wow, this is the closest thing to stuff that I have to go into what we had record and tape traders to find these bands, right? You never heard of this on the radio. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And it was a little, had fun, and it was a little doofy, and that whole album, and saw the dude in concert so much, and his love for metal was so deep. And he had one of the, like the previous, one of the I think like a touring guitarist from Morbid Angel that was playing for him. And he was just such a good dude. I could talk about NWK forever, but when God is Partying came out this year, I was like, oh, come on, Andrew. Like, it's got to be a good album. And it absolutely the shit out of me. It was just so good. And it does that weird Andrew WK thing where it is happy and philosophical, but also just this much dark. And you're wondering if the dude is having real problems in his life. But just instrumentally and even lyrically, I think it's brilliant and gorgeous, and I love it.
One of the best live shows I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
4 guitarists. He might have had 2 bass players, or I'm just imagining that. And just the biggest, most let's rock sound you've ever heard.
Yep. I Get Wet is a cover to cover classic in my house.
Yep.
Like, thank you.
So good.
What are we doing, Andrew WK, on the main show, Dan?
It's so big. It's
asking
so
for 2 friends.
I don't know. What do you guys?
What do you guys want to do?
Dude, I will. Whew,
so, Rance, the next time he's sick, I'm calling on both of you. Andrew WK, right now. Let's go.
We're doing the wolf.
What, Dan? Do you not like Andrew WK?
I don't know. Why does everybody think that I hate?
I don't know.
Everything?
You got this face.
I said nothing.
He doesn't like to have fun sometimes.
I do. I don't have a problem with
Ready
Andrew
to
WK.
Die. Ready to Die is one of the most brutal tracks I have ever heard.
I'm not a diehard fan, but I don't hate Andrew WK. I wasn't mad when you picked that as your album.
It's sad that we're all doing the thing right now.
I love it.
Dan, 2021 was great to us musically. How was it to you?
Oh, I mean, we got
there it is.
We got the Crimson Corridor by Zayo.
That also is an absolutely phenomenal. I listen to Zayo. That's a phenomenal cover.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great fucking album too.
What I love about this cover, actually, like really look at the arm and try to think about what angle whatever that arm's attached to is standing at.
It could be like coming.
Like I've stared at this for hours. Like just
that is crawling on the ceiling and has made its way down the wall and is reaching backwards over the back of its head to say hello to you right now.
I've come to the conclusion that it's just feet on the ceiling inside the closet. But it's this record is blistering, but also probably one of the most like heartfelt records that I've heard. And I'm not just saying that as a Zayo fan, like, because I mean, this was also a record that was like really, really, really hard to keep under wraps. Because this marks the first time that like, I heard a record by a band that I loved and I wasn't thrilled on it the first time I heard it. And then I listened to it over and over and over again, but it wasn't like a purchase justification sort of thing. It was more of just like, maybe because I'm such a fan, I'm now like putting my own expectations on this and being able to look at the band in a way of like, oh, okay, they're doing a thing here. Like they're doing something different. They're expanding out. For a band as late in their career as Zao is, it's insane to me that they are still innovating and they're not afraid to go into territory that their fans are not expecting. So yeah,
that's actually honestly, that's a sort of funny that you mentioned that with this particular episode, because in a way that's also the Doom music story. Like needing to innovate to step up into a completely different era while maintaining some of the same staples, but being willing to like leap past expectation.
Yeah.
So that makes me want to listen to that album. And you have constantly mentioned Zao, and I have not yet, and I'm a piece of shit. As everybody just nods.
I mean,
Rance, I don't know you, but
am I a piece of shit, man?
But based on you not listening to Zao,
I would say that I am.
You and I are equally pieces of shit.
To put it maybe in a way, when he was talking about like constantly changing and like taking chances and risks, I was like, oh, it's like my relationship with every Linkin Park album. Okay, like that's like listening for the purpose not to justify, but like learn.
I did not give Linkin Park the free pass for innovation that I gave Zao, but
did you give them the free pass for death, Dan?
What? No.
Yeah. R.I.P. dude.
I know.
Just making it weird for you, man.
I know, but I know.
feel it.
Still not doing it, man. Still not doing it.
We talked about it. We talked about it in the episode a little bit. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, that was a hard one actually, because we actually held off on doing a Linkin Park episode because of that for a while.
Yeah.
Because I wanted enough time to pass to where I wasn't going to get like a whole bunch of hate if I said anything that was out of line, but also give enough time to where it would be, semi-respectful of like, hey, we're just talking about these records, man. At the end of the day, it does not matter what I think, but yeah, with Zao, definitely check it out. I will say it's not for everyone, but I think you both should check it out. Give it a chance.
We'll do
it. And I'll listen to the Andrew WK album. And then,
what about Wolfie?
I already listened to Wolfie. I did your stupid Patreon review of it.
And it was fucking great.
I said it was a good rock album. Okay. There you go. Good rock and roll. Well, guys, I think that's it. I think we did it. We got to the end of a.
What the fuck, Dan?
I have records.
No, you'll get one.
Okay. Listen to me.
You can listen to Zao.
Listen to Zao because they're good.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your album of 2021?
I have this guy right here. This is Crawler by Idols.
Okay.
On the brown vinyl, because that's I love Idols. They really came into my attention probably 3 years ago now. With Happiness or Joy as a piece of resistance. I don't know, but that album, Joy as an act of resistance. And on this album, they really kind of challenged themselves to do some new stuff, take some big swings. Some of it hits, some of it misses. But I really enjoy what the hell they're doing. But this is the album that stole my heart. This is Pom Pom Squad, Death of a Cheerleader.
Okay.
This is the most 90s record I've heard in 2021. It is absolute. If you liked Letters to Cleo, you're gonna love Pom Pom Squad, Death of a Cheerleader. I don't know. I was just nostalgic enough for this record. It is not breaking new ground. It is not the best thing I've ever heard in my life. But boy, just hearing hearing modern guitar music in any way, shape, or form was like, thank God it's not a synthesizer.
Right.
It's just four people making music together. Was just that wasn't, new metal or metal. It was just enough of a breath of fresh air that I was like, I'll take it. Give me all of that you got.
That's how I felt when Hum put out a new record. I was like, oh my God, finally.
Yeah,
You know?
just something that's not what I'm listening to right now that's familiar enough. It's definitely throwback. It's not great, but it's my album of the year. There you
I'm
go.
going to listen to that tonight
Yeah, give it a
while
listen.
watching Lady and the Tramp.
I think I'm going to play Doom. I mean, after this, I mean, be weird not to. Well, guys, this is the first episode of Discuss Metal Live. We're going to be doing this once a month. We're not going to be doing this exactly. The goal is to pick a discussion topic that's a little bit different than what we would normally talk about on the main podcast. And I want to thank everybody that was watching this live, or more realistically, everybody that's hearing the audio version of this on the podcast feed later on. Yeah, just thank you guys so much. And, definitely looking forward to doing this again next month.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Rance.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate the invite. It was a lot of fun.